I was leaning towards, can business be a tool for good? When we invest in a company, we look at the founders.
Would you rather have unlimited funding but a weak product, or an amazing product but struggle to get funding?
Easy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Built Different, a leadership podcast where we all strive to learn how to better ourselves through the different stories that we share every week. So my name is David, and I'll be your host for this episode. Now, for those people, especially sa mga nagnenegosyo ngayon, this is an episode that you do not want to miss. Because if you've been in the business for quite some time now, and syempre nag-iisip ka how to grow, how to scale, and you're looking for people that are credible enough and has a proven track record of helping brands and companies take it to a whole nother level. And syempre, here's a Built Different, we only invite the best of the best or some of the leading industry experts who can share their wisdom and knowledge from the real-world experience na nakuha nila. And joining with me today is Carlo Chen Delantar, the partner of a venture capital firm, Gobi Partners, which manages the Gobi Core Philippine Fund. Mr. Carlo, thank you for always being supportive sa pag-share ng mga knowledge mo. Welcome to Built Different.
An honor to having me here. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to discuss, a lot of topics, and our objective naman here is to be an avenue for a lot of business owners na mamulat sila doon sa mga unrealized opportunities and potential ng mga brands nila. Now, but before we dive right in, I want you to give us a bit of a background, how you got into, venture capital, and how did the journey started for you as the professional taking this path and helping a lot of brands.
Sure. So, story time, I guess. I actually come from a family of manufacturers and entrepreneurs. I was born and raised in Cebu. Studied abroad, came back. There was a specific time where Tito from the US asked me, about to graduate, do you want to be just a normal white-collar worker in the US, or you want to do something bigger in the Philippines? Mm-hmm. So I moved back to the Philippines, and because of my family background on entrepreneurship, sabi ko, maybe I can do something. But I was leaning towards, can business be a tool for good? Mm-hmm. Social entrepreneurship apparently wasn't, it was starting to come out, but I never thought that business was purely profit. So I was completely shocked when I realized that majority of businesses focus on being on a capitalist mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So profit over anything. Over time, the things change, and of course, I still wanted to dive deeper, but I started my journey, couple businesses, and then 2013, Typhoon Yolanda hit in Cebu, mm-hmm. and I had to help. The family and everyone else were safe, but over time, we started, I realized that we need to help in order for everyone else to thrive. Then Ways for Water messaged me. This is a nonprofit in the US. They wanted to help in Cebu. I said, anything that you can do, we'd love to help. This was actually the nonprofit that Paul Walker, if you remember Paul Walker.
Yes, of course.
He seed funded $50,000, donated to Ways for Water, and said, use this money to start your disaster response. Mm-hmm. And that's how they found me. I was just a volunteer, no mm-hmm. idea to be the country director. And I led Waves for Water for about 7 years. Now it's PCNC accredited. And now we're on our 12th year. Mm-hmm. And we've helped over 2 million Filipinos. Mm-hmm. So that's how I was developed. And then this whole VC thing really started as more of an accident. We're three partners. One of them was my mentor that introduced me to JCI and helped me understand what business looked like in the Philippines. And we met the founder of Gobi Partners in Malaysia 2018, and we were just blown away. Mm-hmm. Technology was ramping up there, and the first thing we said was, nothing's happening in the Philippines. Why don't we do it? Our joke was to make the next Mang Inasal or the potato corner.
Yeah.
But after Malaysia, we realized, why are we just thinking about one company? Why don't we help build multiple companies in the Philippines? And that's how the GoBicor Philippine Fund was born. And so far, we've invested in 10 companies. Currently, this year, we're generating last year, over $150 million already. And we've employed directly through our startups close to 2,000 Filipinos and people already.
Okay, that's a very good starting point. Kasi a lot of people, yung mga common like terminologies in business, diba? Like investors, like kailangan ko maghanap ng investors, no? But you're mentioning this probably a bit of an alien term for people, VC or venture capitalists. Probably we can take a step back here, but can you enlighten me also about what does a VC or a venture capitalist firm do, and how does it help brands grow or companies grow?
Okay, let's put it simple in terms first. When a business is running, you make sales, you make profit, and then if you want to grow further, you need capital. Or capital means extra money that you're not using to expand, right? A lot of businesses, Philippines, they're usually cash-strapped because multiple things. What they're selling, product or services, doesn't make too much profit, so they can't expand faster. And then they're afraid of debt or loans. If you're a smart entrepreneur, you can build businesses by leveraging, layman's term, if you take advantage of tools like debt or loan, as long as you can pay them, you can expand your companies. No, so when you look at this, a different form of investment could be, some people do personal investment through stocks. Some people go through mutual fund managers. Venture capitalists or venture capital firms, we act like a mutual fund.
Okay.
So what that means is we pool funds from individuals, high net worth individuals, family offices, even corporations that have extra capital and they want it to grow outside of the usual investment vehicles, which are mutual funds, stock market, real estate. We're considered what we call an alternative asset. So VC, I guess, would be that easy way to do that. But the venture capitalists, our goal as a model is to help tech or tech-enabled companies grow faster without thinking about capital. Our goal is to let you grow as fast as you can, as big as you can, within reason. That way, the profit will follow over time.
Right.
Because some big companies, let's say Facebook, or let's say Gcash, for you to hit profitability, you need scale.
Yeah.
So scale means instead of just attending to one person, you're attending to millions.
Right.
So VCs come in, yung term that we use is working capital gap.
Okay.
A working capital gap, simply put, if you're a business now just making profit and you want to hit X marks later on, if you were to grow it with no loans, with no investment, it would take you 10, 20 years.
Yeah, correct.
But if you take investments from VCs, it could take you 3 to 5 years. So you're fueling growth at the present value for multiples over time because the market is there. You're capturing market.
Okay, so maraming klaseng, 'di ba, investments or investors na pwede lapitan. In your perspective and by the definition in the industry, kasi meron yung iba probably alam na there's such thing as angel investors and venture capitalists. Now, when is the right time to go for angel investors, and when is the right time to go for VC or venture capital firm na?
I want to premise first.
Okay.
If you're a business, you need to identify yourself on what type of business you are.
Okay.
Small business, SMEs, large, tech. Once you understand that, the next question is, how fast do you want to grow?
Okay.
Depending on how fast you want to grow, that also determines which type of investors you should approach. Okay? So, going back to my industry, usually a company that's starting out, no money, no revenue, wala pang sales, idea pa, they approach their families and friends.
Right.
Bakit? Because they know you. Even if idea pa yan, they'd like to support you because you're starting off.
Yeah.
That's what we call angel investors.
Okay.
Okay? So that's why it's coined as that. They usually take maybe 5 to 20% at the very early stage because they're taking so much high risk. So that's what angel investing is. After angel investing, when you're building your company, may konting traction lang. You found out ano business model nyo, what type of product to sell, which we call MVP, minimum viable product. When that's starting to roll, it doesn't have to be proven now, but may traction na. Now you can approach VCs.
Okay.
The VCs come in and say, we'll invest to fuel your growth based on your MVP. Right? So that's how it starts. VCs can take multiple stage, early to growth stage. So early stage is pre-seed all the way to Series A. In every stage, usually your funds deplete over time because you're fueling growth. You're
Right,
not going for profitability. For that context. And then over time, once you get to Series A, B, that's actually when you see na your business works. Now you just need more investments or capital to expand everywhere. And that's what we call growth stage companies or growth stage investing. So that's where sovereign wealth funds come in. The Philippines is starting a Maharlika fund. And private equities come in because that's where they will take majority, if not a large portion of equity shares or shares of your company because they want to make sure you grow even bigger. So the difference is, I guess the last part here, if you're an angel investor, your valuation is 0 to 1 million, you put in money, multiplication siya. But by the time, that's the VC model, it's by multiplication of capital because of the risk. But when you're on growth stage, you're not going for multiplication na. You're growing for sustained growth. Best case multiplication. Why? Because you put in billions and 100 millions. Times 2 of 500 million is a billion. Times 2 of 2 million is 4 million. Maliit. Right? So there's a big difference based on the capital and proportion of your capital at any given stage.
But how does it work? Kasi if I'm thinking it correctly right now, growth and profit doesn't sometimes go hand in hand, right? Kasi if you're growing a company, you have to invest in hiring more employees, more technologies, right? So it takes up some time to, recoup yung mga investments. But in terms of growth, yes. But in terms of profitability, correct me if I'm wrong, hindi siya at par doon sa ano na yun. So pag sinabi ng growth, how does a VC or an investor usually categorize it? So papaano ba yun? Growth by number of clients or the number of market share na nakukuha sa industry? So how does it work?
Different investors have different perspectives on what growth means. No. For us, there's multiple areas we could consider. one, how big the market is. Second, how innovative the product could be and how it can disrupt the industry, right? Because maybe it's faster, it's way more affordable, it's user-friendly, it works for millennials, Gen Zs, right? And then the last part would be where most of what people usually don't get right is, do you have enough margins to even sustain the growth?
Right.
A company that runs a 10 to 20 person team compared to a 50 to 1,000 team gets more complicated. In the world in business, in my opinion, the real work is actually not priority yung financial management and business management. But the key for those two things to work is people management.
Wow. Okay.
If you can't manage your people, if you don't have the culture, if they are not motivated based on your mission, highs or lows, no direction. So that's where leaders need to be the key integral part. And that's why when we invest in a company, we look at the founders. Maybe the founder, their first idea doesn't work, but we know, we have confidence in this founder that they can bounce back. I'll take them more than anyone else.
Okay.
Conviction and the flexibility to succeed are arguably one of the best traits to be successful in this space.
So that's like part of the metrics. No? It's not just about the 2-year growth of the company, but who's the core team working for the company's direction then. Now, for those na mga nanonood dito, no, na probably tapos na sila dun sa angel investor round nila, and sa mga siguro mga e-commerce dyan, mga nabibenta ng product or service. Now, they now have an idea, baka based doon sa definition mo, na pwede na pala akong maghanap or lumapit sa mga VC firms. Now, what's an indicator also, aside from the founders, probably some of the metrics, no, the numerical metrics, of a company being investable naman? Probably mga, in other terms, mga tam-samsom natin, or yung total addressable market, total scalable market. Ano yung mga dapat tinitingnan nila na, okay, tatrabahuin ko to in the next 1 year. Kasi ito yung sinabi ni Carlo na dapat i-ready ko para ipakita sa VC namin.
And note, what we're talking about is not financial advice. Please do your research. These are all business insights that anyone can succeed as well.
Yes.
It's interesting you ask that because there's a perception when you're a founder, your idea will win. It's this mindset that whatever idea you can do, you'll succeed. But usually, what founders tend to forget is the market is so dynamic. You walking into the forest won't feel it until you have enough of the forest that you start influencing the forest. And that's the case here. If you're starting out, your biggest asset is that you're still stealth and you're still cunning. But when you get bigger, you have scrutiny of regulators, competitors that have more cash, and all that. So we look at these things. As for a founder, you decide, okay, what is your goal? Usually, the goal could go public or get acquired or merge. These are good goals. How to get there is now the question of what type of investors you're looking for. To tell you the truth, majority of the companies we've seen in the Philippines are great small, medium enterprises. But to be a high growth VC investable company, you have to grow, depending on how small it is, 2 to 3x at any given year.
Okay.
That's hard. That's hard to sustain.
Yes.
I got you a leadership tip. This one is your voice is your power. Own it, refine it, and use it to inspire action.
The Built Different podcast would like to thank Henry's Cameras, Power Mac, Hollyland, Ugreen Philippines, Kappa Cabina, Surge Digital Media, Madcap Productions, Days Media Group, Jazz Up Communications.
So you were mentioning nga na parang one of the key important factor or key element pagdating sa growth na isang company is also the founders, no? Who's the team running behind this company that can, be the light doon sa direction na gusto nilang puntahan. Maybe that's acquisition or going public. But in terms of other metrics, probably numerical metrics, no? Kunyari yung mga nakikinig ngayon, sige, nag-gets ko na. Ano yung kailangan ko pagtuunan ng pansin doon sa mga numbers namin as a company? Every mancom namin, gusto ko, ito yung pinag-uusapan. If we're trending to hit this number. So, what's an indicator of a company being investable in the eyes and in the mind of a VC firm?
Okay. My first question always is, if this startup is investable, how do I exit? So I look 5, 10, 20 years ahead and say, how can I exit? Because at the end of the day, if we invest and it grows and there's no way to exit, how do I get my capital back? Right? So that's how I think. I look forward and then, backtrack and see if there's visibility. If that question can be answered, and there's multiple ways now. Usually, companies, when they start, they have one product only. And because they get bigger and bigger and bigger, they start introducing new products. Good example here is the beauty company. Beauty industries. You start with one lipstick.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yung one lipstick. You get more customers, brand loyalty. Then they said, we want more. Do another flavor. Do another product category. Still in the beauty. That's what we call moats.
Okay. What's moats?
A moat, M-O-A-T.
Okay.
A moat is basically increasing your products and services and increasing your revenue verticals. So, revenue verticals are saying, instead of just selling one type of thing, you have multiple to protect your business in case a competitor will come in to challenge you. You have other verticals. Verticals here means products or services.
Parang category.
Categories.
Okay.
It could be categories as well.
Okay.
So, I think beauty industry is perfect for this. You start with makeup.
Yep.
Then you do fragrance. Then after that, you do cosmetics. Then what's after that? You're already here. You're already here.
Yes.
Then you do body care.
Yep.
Then you do services with your own product.
Yes.
Right? These are verticals and moats that you're building. Next thing you know, you become a lifestyle brand.
Right.
You're not just selling beauty. You're not just selling cosmetics. You're not selling services. Now you're doing the whole package. Now that is powerful. Those are the founders we look for because they see a bigger idea and picture and they know how to get there, or they have an idea how to get there. They start with one product and they start building over time. That's why you see in tech, they have this term called super apps.
Okay.
Right? Maybe one company will start with short form videos. Next thing you know, they do social media messaging. And then what's next after that? Live selling. So they're increasing their products and services and they're attracting more different types of people because the chances of them staying and doing more business with you,
Right.
better chances and much cheaper than finding a new customer. Right? We always say in their industry, to find a customer is expensive. To
Yes.
retain a customer is the most important thing you
Correct.
have. Yeah. So that's what we call active users.
Right.
Daily active users, monthly active users. Then you have maraming metrics, right? Average order value,
Correct.
basket size,
Yes.
all that. And I can talk more about that. The most important thing for a user is what we call lifetime value.
Yes. Yes.
How much does, on average, a customer or a user pay you to use your product?
Right.
The higher it is, the more valuable your
That's
startup
true.
is.
That's true. Actually, yes, I completely agree with that. Kasi, alam mo naman, ET, di ba? So, yung company ko is an advertising agency. And sometimes, when clients ask us na, for example, kasi maraming metrics, di ba? Meron tayong customer acquisition cost. If you have to pay, let's say, 1,000 pesos to get one new customer and you're selling ang average order value is 1,000. So, basically, break even ka lang. Pero you have to also see ano yung lifetime value or yung LTV natin. Kasi if the product is really good, then you don't have to worry that much kasi people will keep on coming back and referring you. Mataas yung loyalty nung customer because, I mean, they like it. They like it. They like the advocacy. They like the product, the effect, and it's producing good results. It can make them feel cooler, better, represents more of who they are. So I really like that and I can really resonate that. Now, going back doon sa topic ng VC, no? Probably kasi yung ibang tao dito, okay, kapag kailangan ko ng pera, VC ang lalapitan ko kasi nasa ganitong skill na ako. Can you share what other like assistance of helping a business grow ang binibigay ng isang VC? Like, meron ba tong advisory? Meron ba tong nagpapahiram kayo ng talents nyo rin for specific target growth? How does it work?
So in Gobi Partners, we're considered an active investor. An active investor doesn't just provide capital. We help you find suppliers. We find strategic partners. We even matchmake you with all our other startups. What's the beauty of that? The more successful business development opportunities you can do, because you can take your time back, and time is money. The faster you can help them grow faster, the faster you can exit. Right? So far, we've generated close to 70 exits globally. We're hoping to do some in the Philippines soon. And because of our experience globally, I mean, we have co-investors like Alibaba. Lately, one of our startups have just been invested by Damian Lillard, Dwayne Wade, Jay-Z the rapper, right? And so forth. So our goal here is if you have a really good product or service, it's so hard to challenge you because you're just so good at it, right? So finding the right founder to do it is also good. And there are multiple ways to be a good founder. Some founders just want to be acquired. Iba-iba yung trip,
Yeah.
right? So whatever your goal is, tell that to the investor. And hopefully, as a founder and investor, your objectives are aligned. Because if it's not aligned, that's where differences come in. There will be board conflict. There will be a coup, what you call a BC or a board coup. That gets messy. And we don't want that because it just wastes time. It delays growth and so forth. So there's multiple ways to skin the cat. But as a VC, for me, especially in the Philippines, we have to admit the Philippines is still a growing, emerging country. So by 2026, experts estimate that the Philippines will become an upper middle income country. What does that mean? So currently, we're a lower middle income country, which we're close to Vietnam and Cambodia. Being upper middle income, there are multiple aspects of it, but the crucial part there is the household income has increased.
Wow.
But that means that we have salaries are getting higher. However, 90% of total GDP is consumption. So what does that mean? What we receive, what we make, we spend immediately.
Okay.
So even if we're upper middle income, it means there's growth, but resilience and economic stability is being questioned. Bakit? If you're in Metro Manila, but how the disparity if you go to Tawi-Tawi or you go to Batanes, crazy difference, right? As well as, fun fact, we import majority of our rice. Vietnam's number one rice import goes to the Philippines, right? The price of vegetables in the Philippines, we spend almost the same to Hong Kong.
Okay.
When you go to Vietnam, they give you a pho. They give you all the herbs that look like a salad. But here,
Yeah.
right? So, for us to be a high-income country over time, it's not just the salaries we make, but also the take-home pay and quality of life that we aspire to be as an economy. No? Best examples here would be Malaysia, possibly, right? Malaysia. And then Thailand would be the second one I would even consider. So, an economy should have prosperity across all walks of life. And that's when you know a country is doing well. And that's where entrepreneurship is very important. Why? They are the direct job generators of the country. When you create jobs, it's not like in the US, when you create jobs, it only supports your family or sometimes just yourself. In the Philippines, when you provide a job, it supports your family, yourself, and then maybe your cousins and your community, right?
Right.
So we're still in that position to make that nation-building opportunity, and that's what's exciting about my job.
Okay.
Going back to my story, I like looking at my work, and I don't think my work so far, my career has been work per se. I think it's just a lifestyle, and I don't think I've worked in my life since. It's really
Right.
fun and meaningful. I think that's the most important part. But the most important thing there is we're using capital to generate jobs, to generate more income, to create prosperity to the Philippines. And that's what entrepreneurship is, right? When you find a good founder that does well and is ethical and responsible, what do they do with their wealth? They give back. They build more locally first. They promote talent in the Philippines. They inspire, right? Entrepreneurs inspire the next generation
Right.
of founders.
Right.
The more we celebrate that, the more entrepreneurs there will be. In the Philippines, 60% service economy. We're good sellers, but we're not good entrepreneurs yet. So we want to change the game. From service, can we become the creators of the products and service?
Right.
Right? And I think we're seeing a new wave in the Philippines. I think the starts were cafes, e-commerce. But can we innovate? Can we find new things that are completely out of the blue? Blue ocean companies,
Right.
right? And sooner or later, it'll be there. That's the reason why infrastructure is being built everywhere. Townships are changing. Globalization of technology. For me, my job is done if we have 2 founders in the Philippines that are unicorn, basically privately valued at $1 billion or more, or that's about 50 billion pesos, from maybe Mindanao
Okay.
or Pag-asa Island. For me, that sends shivers, because now technology and business is probably one of the only, if not the best ways to get out of poverty,
Okay.
right? When you make business, you get rewarded by the amount of work that you do. And it's not delayed. Diba?
That's true.
You see the result. But if you work for a job, maybe you'll get your pay after 15, 30 days. Comes with a risk.
Yeah.
I think both have their own comforts, but if you aspire for a specific thing, you have to be your own creator, right? You have to create, take initiative, and I think that's important.
I need to touch on that because you mentioned that we are very optimistic that there will be somehow a unicorn founder here in the Philippines. But the years had gone by, a lot of businesses was built. Pero why is it that the Philippine startup ecosystem is currently having a difficulty of, as being as competitive doon sa mga ibang regions sa Southeast Asia? Hindi na muna tayo dun sa North America kasi ibang conversation naman yun. But what do you think is lacking? Is it the entrepreneurial education? Is it the opportunities? Is it like the availability of resources, the network? What do you think is the cause of that?
I think we have the ideas and the talent to do it, but we don't have the infrastructure to support it long term.
Okay.
Right? So that's where policy and enforcement of the policy works, right? We have a startup venture fund that now invests in startups. Before, startups were classified as just small, medium business. But now anything innovative can actually be funded. So we work with the Philippine government there. What's still missing is startup visas and taxes. Right? In order to spur innovation, you give them stimulus to succeed and fail at the same time. The faster you fail, the faster you can make another company.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing wrong with failure.
Yeah.
Everybody fails. Right? I failed to make it because I'm late. Right?
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
That's,
But it's a mindset, right? So if you open these gates out, taxes, tax holidays for 2-3 years, what does that mean? Oh, now I can just focus on building. 2-3 years, you'll probably make a really good company. Then, the best part, you'll pay more taxes to the government because the government gave you trust and confidence that you'll build a business in the Philippines. Right? That's number one. Second, visas. We have so many Filipinos all around the world that want to come back to the Philippines. Right? That's why they're called overseas Filipino workers.
Right.
They want to come back. What we call pawikans.
Yeah.
Right? So all their talents and all their experience there, if you bring it back here, game changer.
Yes.
Game changer. Plus, you have the BPOs. They're already technologically native. They're natives already of technology. So if you match that together, we're creating the next super hub in Southeast Asia. That's what I'm excited about. So if the visas and taxes come out, it changes. And tell you right now, this is nothing new. That's how Indonesia became a startup hub. That's how Singapore became one. It may look counterintuitive to provide these free benefits at the very beginning, but on the contrary, and you know this, right? If somebody gives you a chance, and you feel beholden and you feel grateful about it, what do? You pay it forward.
Yes, definitely.
You stay. You become loyal. Simple as that. If somebody, a business, provides you with great food, service, quality, and price, what do? You become loyal customers.
Yes.
Loyalty is built on trust. Loyalty is based on confidence and risk.
Right.
And that's something that we're seeing now. Filipinos, we're not risk takers at the very beginning because we don't have enough to get by. But now we're willing to take risks because we know it's the best way to learn. You'll succeed, you'll fail, you're going to get back up. And the youth especially, the Gen Zs and millennials, my suggestion, if you're a 20-year-old, in your 20s, experiment. Fail. When you hit your 30s, already identify what you're good at. Because by the time you're 30, you'll probably be married, you'll probably have more responsibilities, hard to recover. But when you're a 20-year-old, you fail once, I'll recover.
Yes.
Because you have stamina.
Yes.
Because you have motivation. And you think of the world as your oyster. Right? One failure, nothing. Move forward. That's the beauty of it. When you're 30, 40s, your back is aching. Your your cousins are asking you to give Christmas gift. When you're 20s, nobody cares.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being a founder. This level of agility and people not having expectations on you could be your superpower as well. And I mean, sooner or later, I hope to me too. I think being a founder is one of the most uplifting and liberating feeling to be. Lots of risk, but I always say that even founders that have failed their startups, they're one of the best employees to hire. Why? They felt all aspects of failure and running a business. So their acumen when it comes to being part of a company, multi-level. The angles are different rather than somebody that is just task-oriented.
Yes.
Would you rather have one person that you can rely and can do everything, or would you like 5 people that's doing one task at each other?
Dun sa isa, dun sa una, syempre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And then the best part about that is succession.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think the turnover and growth over time, succession can be passed on faster.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of this blueprint, right? Being built different means you mentor. You find apprentices. And being built different means that you're not going to do... If it was so easy, everyone's going to do it. If you want to be built different, it's going to be a lonely journey. But once you reach to the top, then you look around the horizon. Okay, I see you. I see you.
Yeah.
I see you. You've done your part. You have battle scars. Now, what do we do? Pay it forward.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you don't understand the part of paying it forward, you lose your humility and humanity and your purpose. Diba? You're given the opportunity to succeed, but if you're just keeping it to yourself, you're doing it wrong.
Right. Lalo na sa ating mga Filipinos, di ba? Like, majority of us, there's always this utang na loob. And sometimes it's used against the sa tamang way, but most of the time, you know, if someone helped you, and there's this reciprocation pa rin. Now, this person helped me, pag ako medyo nakabuelo, I'll pay it forward for this person. Probably double or triple the amount na binigay. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of things is happening, a lot of opportunities is being uncovered. What do you think is your immediate advice for first-time founders naman, mga startups?
If you have a job, let's start with if you have a job right now and you're wanting to be a founder, build a 6-month emergency fund so that you can just focus on your ideas. The second part is you have 24 hours in a day. What do you do with the rest of the days if you're not sleeping or work? You can start building your company, right? The more you put in time over time to water your seeds over time, the way further ahead of you are. Think of this as like a game, no? You build experience, you become stronger. The stronger you are, you beat different levels. For every level, it's get tougher and tougher. But then when you go back to level 0, easy, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. The second part is always think of a business where
The second part.
Okay. The second part that I'd like to tell founders is you need to build a business properly. When I say properly, it needs to profit. It needs to grow. You also have to pay properly, right? If you can't create a business where you can profit, you can't pay your people right, you're not adhering to laws and labor practices, then probably your product may need some improvement, may need something else, right? Or maybe you're just the master of that specific product. Charge a premium, right? So I think that's a crucial part. There's this whole aspect in the Philippines where when you're a founder, you wear your shades and you say, I'm a founder. I'm a rock star. No, man.
No.
When you're a founder, I should not see you in stage. I want to see you working, working and building. I should be looking for you. My job is to find the next unicorn founder. My job is to find people that care about the Philippines and the economy and what want to build here. It's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
It's already happening, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, agree. Actually, yes, for those people, entrepreneurship is not all that sexy.
Not at all.
It takes a lot of sacrifice, you know, a lot of tolerance when it comes to, you know, disappointments, rejections, and all that. And I've been there. Lalo na I built my marketing advertising agency when I was still working in a corporate, and that gave me actually, di nga 6 months yung ginawa kong runway. 2 years yung ginawa kong runway para lang sigurado na, okay, whatever happens, at least I have the safety net to, you know, to move forward pa rin kahit ano mangyari. Kasi it's inevitable to face, you know, failures, because if you're not failing, you're not trying to innovate, you're not trying to improve, and all of those. Right. So on the flip side naman, no, kasi we are both part of JCI Manila, and you are the 2025 Executive Treasurer for JCI Manila. My question is, how did JCI Manila contributed to your professional growth? The ventures na naging involved ka, and even on your personal life, no? Papaano? Kasi we've been spending so much time and effort throughout the years dito sa JCI Manila for service to humanity, and that kept us going up until now. That's why we're doing this podcast. But for you, what's your story sa JCI Manila?
One word:
Ano?
community.
Okay.
Right? Moved to Manila 2015. It's my 10th year in Manila. Didn't know where to start, but I was part of JCI Cebu before moving. So I was asked and recommended to move to JCI Manila. I said, why not? My experience with JCI has been good. Number one, we're all trying to find purpose, and we're trying to find direction. JCI Manila provides that for the reason that there's a community. Very simple. Everyone's in the mindset to develop themselves. And when they're open to developing themselves, everyone's willing to fail, willing to learn, willing to succeed, and help each other, right? Fail together, succeed together, grow together. Name other organization in the Philippines that provides that platform when you're 18 to 40 years old. Hardly none, in my opinion, right? JCI Manila is special, I guess, in that sense, because we ran like an institution, 77 years. We see tradition, excellence, and development as key parts of that. And especially this year, we're focusing on being intentional, enriching, and unique. And at the end of the day, we want to attract more and invite more, you know, same profile of men that are looking for purpose, looking to improve, willing to take criticism, and learn for the best.
You mentioned also that because of JCI Manila, doon ka naging part, or doon kayo nag-start or naging founding partner ng Gobi Core. So this was here in Manila ba o sa Cebu to nangyari?
I was already in JCI Manila when we were starting Gobi. So it helps. It really it helps, because the work of a VC is connecting businesses, establishing businesses, and for JCI Manila, we have every type of profession that can point you to the right direction. The value that we have, groups, anything you ask under the sun, right? Whether that's roofing, lawyers, you're looking for somebody in a specific company that can point you to the right direction. At the end of the day, people want to connect to other people if there's credibility and context part of it. If it's a normal stranger, what happens? Low success rate.
Yeah.
Unless the receiving end is very open to meet with everyone. But we only have 24 hours in our lives, right? I see the world now based on darts and a dartboard. The more energy, the more resources you have, the more you can throw darts. At the very beginning, you probably won't hit the target. And if you don't have resources, you're very intentional of where you hit the target. But the more resources you have, and the more darts and time you have, you get really good at it. So all your moves become bullseye. No, and I think that's what JCI Manila is. You can start building a quiver of darts, and however small your dartboard or big it is, it'll always be a bullseye, because the chances of you finding the next step from whatever you're trying to solve or to find, JCI Manila is a platform and the community that can connect you to everyone.
Right. And I strongly agree with that. No? Kasi, each and every JCI Manila member has a story of, helping their career, starting a business with a fellow member, having a lifelong friends and barkada din also dito sa chapter, which is, it's more than just an organization. Tama nga, it's a community, no? It's also an avenue of self-development and personal development. I personally discovered a lot about myself nung pumunta ako dito, kasi this is way out of my comfort zone when I started, diba? So, I mean, it really pushes you to be on a different level and expose you to a different you, diba? Kaya nga built different tayo. So, yeah. This last part of our podcast naman, we do a bit of a game naman. We can do a bit of a game naman, and it's called Would You Rather. Now, this is related, yung mga questions naman is related dun sa pinag-usapan natin kanina about startups and ganyan. So, I'll be asking you 5 questions and would you rather. And just give a bit of an explanation bakit yun yung answer na napili mo. Goods?
Let's do this.
Okay, sige. So, first question. Would you rather, binabasa ko lang siya, tama ba yung pagkakabasa ko? Would you rather have unlimited funding but a weak product, or an amazing product but struggle to get funding?
Easy. Amazing product struggling to get funding.
Why?
Because creativity trumps every aspect of any problems, first. And second, funding is everywhere. But they're always looking for the amazing product.
Yes, I agree. Second, would you rather have a genius co-founder pero impossible to work with, mahirap katrabaho, or an average co-founder but is highly reliable?
Second, highly reliable, average founder, because skills can be taught. But somebody to rely on, we have our own highs and lows, but if you have someone to rely on, do or die, ride or die.
Ride or die.
I'll take that. I'll take that any day.
Okay. It's a good answer. Okay. Ako rin, I would rather have a highly reliable co-founder. But third question, would you rather launch a startup in a trending competitive industry or a niche market with uncertain demand?
Tough. Both are good choices. I think I'll premise by saying it'll be easier to succeed if you choose a niche area, because you can disrupt it and you can easily win without any competitors. You'll become more valuable than a trend, because likely it's gonna be bloody if you choose the former.
Okay, yeah, agree. Would you rather sell your startup for a massive exit early or keep growing it for long-term success? So, holding it.
I'll hold for the reason that it will generate more income and jobs that could create more impact rather than a fast one. It's very selfish if you just sell. But everybody has their reasons. For me, I go for the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather secure funding from an investor you don't like or a small investment from a partner who you share your vision with?
Partner that you share your vision with. Pretty simple. You're gonna be married with the investor. Do you want an investor that you can stand, or somebody that will give you more problems?
Yeah.
The less time you can focus on your startup, the worse it will become.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Last, would you rather have a would you rather mentor a young entrepreneur with great idea but no business model, or one with a great business plan but a less innovative concept?
First one, for the reason that they're still open to changes and they're wide-eyed. They're coachable is probably the right answer. Because when you're set in your ways, and maybe you're good at it, that's totally fine. But the more receptive and if you absorb it like a sponge, the likelihood of success is fairly high.
Okay. E.T. Carlo, Executive Treasurer Carlo, thank you for joining us sa Built Different podcast natin. And I hope lahat, syempre, this is an absolute gold nga na episode, no? So I really hope that mga listeners natin maraming natutunan. If you're planning to get investors or you just want to start your own business, just keep going and just keep in mind na lahat ito pinagdadaanan. There's a level of sacrifice and you will deserve kung ano yung pagtatrabahuan mo. So with that, thank you so much for joining. Daghang salamat. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Built Different podcast.
The Built Different podcast would like to thank Henry's Cameras, Power Mac, Hollyland, Ugreen Philippines, Kappa Cabina, Surge Digital Media, Madcap Productions, Days Media Group, Jazz Up Communications.